What's good everyone? Welcome back to my channel. So today's video is kind of special because today I'm going to talk about a book that has earned a special place in my book collection. So it is a book that I read very recently and it was very educational and it earned a special place in my book collection. So the book that I'm talking about becomes even more special because this is a translated text and it was translated from Assamese to English. And the translator of this book was none other than Swapnalee ma'am, our professor from English department. And it has been a really very wonderful read and it has given me a lot of information. It has been a really very educational read. So the book is titled Mahabharata, the Verse of Love and Suffering, and it is a feminist take on certain select stories of Mahabharata. And look at this gorgeous cover of this book. Just look at the gorgeous cover. So the translated version of this book released a couple of months ago. And the author of this book, Dr. Pranay Phukan, he visited our college for the release of the book. And it was a really good experience getting to know him, getting to hear from him about his experiences about writing the book and getting to know from our professor how she wrote the book, everything. It was a really very good experience, a really very enriching experience. And I'm really very glad that it happened while we were in the college, as this is our final year in this college. So I feel that it was really very lucky for us to have witnessed something like this in our college. So what is this book all about? So this book talks about the women of Mahabharata. We know Amba, Kunti, Draupadi, Gandhari. These people took part in Mahabharata, but their voices are not as prominent as they are of the male characters. So the writer and the translator here gave a voice to those characters as well. So most of the canonical texts that are out there are androcentric. They talk about the male experience, but the female voices are somewhat subdued or marginalized in those texts. And the writer here gave voice to those characters as well. So that is something really very fascinating about this book that I really like and I really appreciate that. Only in the recent times we have seen that the characters that were marginalized or that were minor in canonical texts have been given the voice. Whether it be Penelopiad, Ariadne, Circe or anything. Even this Mahabharata, the verse of love and suffering, gives voice to those marginalized characters that were not talked about in the original canonical text. So this book brings the female characters of Mahabharata to a forefront very explicitly and very prominently. And it gives them a very strong voice. And we can see this aspect of the book right from the very beginning. Even before we start reading this book, we can notice this in the cover itself. Here we can see that the female characters of Mahabharata are being featured on the cover. Even though the war of Kurukshetra is taking place at the same time, it's really not the point of focus here. The cover itself tells us where the focus of the narrative lies in this book. So this book talks about the characters that were often sidelined in the main narrative of the Mahabharata. So I read this book around the same time as I read Dharamvir Bharati's play Andha. This play is about the last day of the Kurukshetra war. And this play ties in really very beautifully with this book. And how it connects with this book, that is really very beautiful. So this book consists of 5 stories revolving around 5 different female characters, and each character has been given a very distinct and a very different kind of voice. So one of the stories from this book revolves around the central character Gandhari, and we get to see her journey right from the beginning, even before she became Dhritarashtra's wife. We get to see her right from the beginning, even before she became the queen of Hastinapur. We get to know her. And I really felt very sad for her when she found out that the king that she's married to is a blind king. She was married off even without her knowledge that her husband is going to be a blind king. So that is really very educational thing that we should know. Marriage of Gandhari was something that I did not know about. And this book gave me that knowledge, that insight into Mahabharata. So in Dharamvir Bharati's Andha, we see how Gandhari dies on the very last day of the Kurukshetra war. And throughout the book, we see that she has been very loving towards her children and how much she loved the Kauravas. But it is in this book that her feelings are really very shown from the beginning. This book shows us why Gandhari behaved the way she did, and it was her feeling. It was her feeling of despair. It was her feeling of betrayal, of hopelessness, of lost hope, all of which, when combined together, shaped Gandhari into the kind of person that she was. And I think this is the beauty of reading a text from a point of view that is not the canonical way of reading text. So overall, I enjoyed reading the book. It was a really very fascinating read. I got to know a lot about Mahabharata that I initially did not know. And this was a really very beautiful read. So that's all about Mahabharata, the verse of love and suffering. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And share this video with as many people as you can. And this book is even available in the local bookstores in our area. But still, if you'd like to get a copy of this book, if you'd like to get your hands on a copy of this book, drop it in the comment section. Till then, this is Rahul signing off, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.